Capricorn, brace yourself. Because what's approaching isn't one event. It's not just a financial breakthrough. Not just a painful goodbye. Not only a sacred connection. It's all three colliding at once. And this isn't chaos. It's destiny with a divine strategy. There are rare moments in life when the universe chooses to compress timelines. When lessons you were meant to learn over a decade arrive in a single season. This is one of those moments. And if you're here, still watching, still breathing, still standing, it's because your soul agreed to walk straight through this storm. Not to be destroyed by it, but to be remade. Let me be crystal clear. There will be money. Not trickles, a wave. An inflow of abundance so unexpected, so unexplainable, that even you, the realist, the planner, the non-believer in luck, will pause and whisper, "Why now?" There will be a funeral. No, not necessarily with caskets and tears. But a symbolic death, the end of a role you've been playing, a relationship you've been clinging to, or a version of yourself that can no longer survive in the light of who you're becoming. And then, there will be a union. A coming together. A merging so sacred, so aligned, it will feel like your soul has been waiting lifetimes for it. Maybe it's a person. Maybe it's a purpose. Maybe it's the long overdue reunion with your real self. And here's the part most people miss. These three events aren't accidents. They are orchestrated, timed, designed to trigger your awakening. Because the Capricorn soul doesn't evolve in soft breezes. It rises through earthquakes. It remembers its truth through loss, love, and the weight of what it once believed it couldn't carry. So if your body has felt strange lately, if your chest has been tight, your energy drained, your emotions unexplainable, it's not anxiety. It's activation. It's your soul whispering. We're about to begin. But here's the thing, Capricorn. Not everyone will make it through this kind of transformation intact. Some will fight it. Some will numb it. Some will run back to what's familiar, even if that familiarity is killing them softly. But not you. You're still here. Which means part of you already knows there's no turning back. So before we go any further, I want you to do something. Right now, take a deep breath. Not just through your nose, through your soul. And say these words out loud, with conviction. I am ready to lose what I was, to become who I really am. Because that is what this storm is asking of you. Not survival, but resurrection. So stay with me. Because in the next few minutes, we're going to walk through each of these three events. The money, the funeral, the sacred union. And you're going to see how they are not separate. They are connected. They are the story of your becoming. And that story starts now. Part 1. The quiet collapse before the breakthrough. Capricorn, let me ask you something most people are too afraid to admit out loud. Have you been feeling like you're falling apart, even when everything seems fine? You wake up, you function, you get things done. You check the boxes, you play the role, you keep going. From the outside, you might even look unshakable. But inside, there's a quiet heaviness. A kind of spiritual fatigue that no amount of sleep or success can fix. And it's not because you're weak. It's because something inside you is collapsing. Not as punishment, as preparation. This is the precursor to breakthrough. You see, for most signs, transformation starts with a moment of inspiration. But for Capricorn, it begins with a slow unraveling. The body gets heavier. The emotions get louder. The motivation starts to disappear. Not because you're failing, but because your soul is whispering. I can't carry this version of life anymore. There are things in your life right now that feel empty. You might not be able to name them. A job that once fulfilled you now drains you. A connection that once felt like home now feels like obligation. A routine that once gave you control now feels like a prison. That's not burnout. That's spiritual compression. It's the universe applying pressure, like coal being squeezed into diamond. And the reason it hurts? Because you've been loyal to survival for far too long. But Capricorn, you weren't born just to survive. You were born to lead, to build, to transform darkness into order. And before any empire rises, there must be a collapse. Not dramatic, not explosive, but quiet. Like how leaves fall in autumn without complaint. Like how a mountain erodes in silence until the shape is forever changed. This is what's happening to you inside. A soul reshaping. And here's the hardest part. You can't tell anyone. Because most people won't understand. They'll say, "You're doing great." They'll say, "You're so strong." They don't see the weight behind your smile. They don't feel the ache in your chest at night when the lights go off. But I see it. Because I know Capricorn energy. I know that when a Capricorn begins to collapse inward, it's not the end. It's the initiation. The universe is dismantling everything that is not rooted in truth. The fake strength. The performative calm. The productivity that masks the pain. So if you're feeling like you can't keep up, that's not weakness. That's a signal. Something more is trying to emerge. But it can't emerge on top of lies. It needs the soil of honesty. And that's what you're being asked to do in this moment. Be honest. With yourself. Ask, what am I tired of pretending to love? Who am I performing for? What in my life still exists only because I'm afraid of what will happen if I let it go? Because that quiet collapse you're feeling is actually your soul saying, "We're done settling." Life lesson, part 1. Before Capricorn is crowned with success, they must unclench from survival. You don't need to fight anymore to prove you're strong. You've already proven that over and over again. Now, it's time to build a life not around obligation, but around truth. Part 2. The money comes when the mask falls. Capricorn, let's talk about something you rarely allow yourself to believe. That money, real, meaningful, liberating money, can arrive not because you suffered, but because you finally let go of who you're not. For years, maybe decades, you've equated value with sacrifice. You've believed that in order to deserve more, you have to carry more, endure more, control more, do more. But that version of success, it was built on fear. Fear of being seen as weak. Fear of being replaced. Fear of being left behind if you stop performing. So you wore the mask. The mask of the capable one. The responsible one. The one who doesn't need help. The one who shows up, no matter what. And yes, that mask earned you respect. Maybe even wealth. But not the kind of wealth that frees your soul. Not the kind that lets you breathe fully and say, "This is mine. And I didn't bleed myself dry for it." Capricorn, here's what the universe is waiting for. Not your next sacrifice. Not your next strategy. But your surrender to authenticity. Because money, true abundance, is not attracted to control. It flows to truth. And your truth is that you've outgrown the role you've been playing. You've outgrown the version of yourself who always has the answers. The one who never shows weakness. The one who keeps the world turning while silently crumbling inside. That mask served its purpose. It protected you in a world that didn't know how to hold your depth. But now, it's the very thing blocking the flow. So let me ask you this. Are you willing to be seen as you are? Without the polish. Without the armor. Without the image. Because when a Capricorn drops the mask, the world doesn't reject them. It breathes a sigh of relief. Why? Because everyone else was waiting for permission to do the same. And this is the paradox. When you stop trying to hold it all together, when you stop pretending to be fine, when you stop clinging to the role that earned approval but cost you your aliveness, the money arrives. Not just any money, but money that feels sacred. Money that arrives with peace, not pressure. Money that feels like a reflection of your alignment, not your exhaustion. This kind of wealth doesn't ask you to abandon yourself. It asks you to return to yourself. And that return, it begins when the mask falls. Life lesson, part 2. Capricorn, your greatest currency is not your work ethic. It's your truth. The moment you stop performing and start embodying who you really are, everything changes. The money, the freedom, the respect, they all begin flowing to the version of you who no longer needs to prove anything to anyone. Part 3. The symbolic funeral, what must die now? Capricorn, not every funeral has flowers. Not every ending comes with closure. Some deaths happen in silence. Invisible, but irreversible. And right now, you're standing at one. This is not about someone else's passing. This is about a version of you that has quietly stopped breathing. The part of you that once believed being strong meant staying silent. The part that prioritized stability over truth. The part that stayed loyal to people, places, and patterns long after they stopped feeding your soul. It's time for that version to be buried. And yes, it will hurt. Because even when something is no longer right, letting go still creates grief. Even when a door must close, we mourn the comfort it once gave us. But you cannot rise into your future, carrying the corpse of your past. Capricorn, you've spent years holding up worlds that weren't yours to carry. You became the backbone for people who never asked how your heart was doing. You stayed in situations out of duty, out of fear, out of the belief that sacrifice is noble. And it was. For a time. But now, it's self-abandonment. You cannot keep sacrificing your peace to maintain illusions of control. You cannot keep shrinking to make others feel safe. You cannot keep patching broken foundations hoping they'll somehow hold a bigger future. Because they won't. And the universe knows that. That's why this symbolic funeral is arriving. Not as punishment, but as mercy. It's a sacred release. But here's what most people don't tell you about letting go. It doesn't happen all at once. It happens in waves. You'll feel fine one moment, then grief will hit out of nowhere. You'll feel light, then suddenly lost. Let that happen. Grieve the chapter. Mourn the identity. Cry for the person you were, even if they were miserable because they kept you alive. But once you grieve, you must bury it. Not keep revisiting it. Not try to resurrect it. Not call it back every time you feel lonely. Let it rest. Because Capricorn, what's coming for you is too big to share space with what's already expired. This is your rebirth. But first, you must make space. And funerals, real, symbolic, emotional, are how we clear the ground for resurrection. Don't run from it. Honor it. Life Lesson, Part 3. Capricorn, your past doesn't define you, but it does require closure. You cannot build a sacred future on a foundation filled with ghosts. Grieve what was. Bless it. Bury it. And then, rise. Part 4. Love is not what you think, it's deeper. Capricorn, let's speak honestly. You've always approached love with caution. Not because you're cold. Not because you don't care. But because somewhere along the way, you were taught that love is something you earn, not something you simply receive. So you've given. And given. And given. While secretly wondering if anyone would ever love you the way you love them. But here's the truth. Love is not performance. It is not endurance. It is not proving your worth through loyalty, through sacrifice, through silence. Capricorn, the love you've been taught to accept. The kind where you give more than you receive. Where you suppress your needs to keep the peace. Where you stay because you're afraid of what leaving would mean. That is not love. That is survival in disguise. And the universe is done watching you settle for it. Because what's approaching now is not romance. It's not passion. It's a sacred union. One that begins within. You cannot attract soul-level love if you're still abandoning yourself. You cannot meet your divine counterpart if you're still playing small to avoid rejection. You cannot step into real connection if you're afraid to be fully seen. Capricorn, this next phase isn't asking you to chase love. It's asking you to become love. To become the version of you that is whole. That doesn't settle, doesn't tolerate, doesn't trade authenticity for attention. And when you do, love finds you. Not because you're looking, not because you're begging, but because you're finally resonating at the frequency of truth. And truth is magnetic. This sacred union that's on its way, it may be romantic. It may be a divine friendship. It may be a mission, a calling, a reconnect ion with your purpose. Whatever it is, it will not demand you abandon yourself. It will not ask you to shrink. It will not feel like confusion. It will feel like recognition. You will know. Not because they complete you, but because when you're with them, you feel more yourself than ever before. That's the shift, Capricorn. From chasing to attracting. From surviving to connecting. From fear to alignment. This is not the love your past self would have chosen. This is the love your soul has always remembered. And it begins the moment you say, I am no longer available for love that requires me to disappear. Life Lesson, Part 4. Capricorn, love is not the reward for your suffering. It is the mirror of your wholeness. The moment you choose yourself fully, the universe sends someone or something that reflects that back to you. And that love, it doesn't break you, it builds you. Part 5. The unexpected money that feels like a miracle. Capricorn, for most of your life, money has not been a luxury. It's been a responsibility, a pressure, a measurement of safety, not joy. And that's what makes what's coming next feel almost unreal, because it won't be earned the way you're used to. This next wave of abundance, it doesn't come from effort. It comes from alignment, not from controlling every outcome, but from finally surrendering to what's true for you, even if it breaks the rules. Capricorn, here's what most don't understand about your relationship with money. You don't crave wealth for status. You crave it for freedom. Freedom to walk away from toxic obligations. Freedom to create something real. Freedom to live without compromising your values. And the universe has seen it. The sleepless nights. The jobs you stayed in too long. The dreams you set aside to help others. The way you gave when you had nothing left to give. None of that was forgotten. That energy is returning, multiplied. It may come through unexpected channels. An inheritance. A long overdue payout. A legal decision. A career pivot you weren't planning. A contract that changes everything. But it won't feel like luck. It will feel like a miracle wrapped in justice. Because Capricorn, when you've suffered in silence for years, even a single moment of relief feels like salvation. But I must tell you this. This money is not here to make you feel safe. It's here to elevate your purpose. And if you try to hoard it out of fear, if you try to return to the old cycle of I must do more to keep it, it will slip away. Because this isn't transactional wealth. It's transformational. It's here to remind you, you are not here to hustle for every drop of worth. You are here to receive, to create, to expand, not to prove. And when the check clears, when the account rises, when the opportunity lands in your lap, don't question it. Don't sabotage it. Don't say, why me? Say, of course me. I've already paid for this with years of quiet integrity. Because you have. And now, it's your turn. Life Lesson, Part 5. Capricorn, true wealth isn't what you earn. It's what you allow. The moment you trust that you are worthy without overworking, the abundance that's always been waiting for you rushes in, not to reward you, but to empower you. Part 6. The goodbye that saves your future. Capricorn, not all goodbyes are loud. Some arrive in whispers, in silences that grow longer, in moments when you realize you're not being seen anymore. Not really. And now, whether you're ready or not, the time has come to let someone go. It might be a friend, a lover, a family member, even a version of yourself. But whoever or whatever it is, they can no longer walk with you. Not because they're evil, not because they betrayed you, but because their energy no longer matches your path. And deep down, you already know. Capricorn, you are loyal to a fault. You hold on even when it hurts. You try harder when the other person has already stopped trying. You make excuses for people who've long stopped showing up. Because that's how your heart works. But let me say something that may sting before it sets you free. Loyalty should never be louder than your self-respect. You've been carrying a connection that's become too heavy. You feel it in your body, in your chest, in the way you hesitate before responding, in the way you feel drained after every conversation. That's not alignment. That's attachment. And there's a difference. One feeds you. The other feeds off you. And this person, this pattern, this tie, it's been feeding off you. You stayed because you hoped it would change. You stayed because you didn't want to hurt anyone. You stayed because you thought it was your job to keep it alive. But here's the truth. If keeping a relationship alive is costing you yourself, it's already dead. Capricorn, you are stepping into a future that demands your full energy, your full presence, your full truth. You don't have the bandwidth to keep watering what refuses to grow. So the goodbye that's being asked of you right now isn't punishment. It's a portal. The universe is not taking something away. It's clearing the space for what is truly meant to arrive. And yes, it might hurt. You might miss them. You might question your decision late at night. But you'll also feel something else. Relief. The kind that rushes in when you stop holding together something that's been falling apart for a long time. The kind that says, I'm finally free. And you'll realize, the goodbye didn't break you. It saved you. Life Lesson, Part 6. Capricorn, letting go isn't failure. It's sacred alignment. When you release what's no longer yours to carry, you don't lose. You return to yourself. Part 7. The Sacred Union with a Soul, a Mission, Oregon A Lover. Capricorn, there's a reunion approaching. Not the kind with fanfare or flashing lights. Not a dramatic return from your past. This union is quieter, deeper, and infinitely more sacred. And here's the secret most people miss. Sacred unions don't just happen between lovers. Sometimes, they happen between you and your purpose. Between you and a version of yourself that you forgot. Between you and a dream you buried so deep, you forgot how much it mattered. This moment, this exact season in your life, is setting the stage for something that feels like homecoming. Capricorn, you've spent so much of your life in survival mode. Chasing deadlines, fixing broken things, showing up even when your heart was somewhere else. You've been reliable, solid, strong. But now, the universe wants you connected. Connected to truth, to alignment, to people and paths that don't require translation, performance, or compromise. This sacred union may come in the form of a person. Someone who doesn't just love your strengths, but understands your shadows. Someone who doesn't ask you to shrink. Who stands beside your fire and says, I see you, all of you, and I'm not leaving. But it may also be a mission. A calling you've been hearing in the background for years. One you've ignored because it didn't seem realistic or timely. And now, it returns, louder than ever. Or, this sacred union may be with yourself. The most powerful kind. The kind where you no longer betray your intuition just to make others comfortable. The kind where you no longer tolerate environments that require you to wear a mask. Capricorn, this is not about romance. It's about resonance. It's about standing so deeply in your truth that the right people, opportunities, and paths simply align. Not because you chase them, but because they were always meant for the version of you who finally showed up. No more pretending, no more pleasing, no more shrinking. Because this sacred union will not arrive for the character you've been playing. It will arrive for the real you. And when it does, it won't feel like fireworks. It'll feel like recognition. A calm in your chest. A knowing in your bones. A whisper that says, finally. Life Lesson, Part 7. Capricorn, sacred unions are not found, they are allowed. The moment you align with who you really are, everything that's meant for you begins to find its way home. And what's coming? It knows the real you. Not the mask. Not the role. But the soul. Part 8. The spiritual contracts you didn't know you signed. Capricorn, not everything in your life is random. Not the delays. Not the heartbreaks. Not even the people who hurt you. There are things your soul agreed to long before you were born. These are the spiritual contracts, invisible, binding, and unshakably personal. And whether you believe in them or not, you've been living them. A spiritual contract isn't something you write on paper. It's a sacred agreement your soul makes in the realm beyond time. A promise to learn, to grow, to transform through specific experiences. And you chose one of the most rigorous paths. Not because you were meant to suffer, but because you were strong enough to alchemize suffering into wisdom. Capricorn, you didn't come here to have it easy. You came here to make it true. to break generational patterns, to lead others through your example, to master the art of building something from nothing, not just materially, but spiritually. Every challenge you faced, it was part of a greater curriculum. Every delay, every betrayal, every loss, it wasn't punishment. It was activation. The money didn't arrive when you wanted it to, because your soul signed a contract. I will not inherit wealth until I understand my worth without it. The love didn't last, because your soul vowed. I will not merge with another until I no longer abandon myself. The opportunities were withheld, because your spirit said, I must build character before I build legacy. These contracts don't make sense when you're in the middle of the storm. But looking back, they become clear. Capricorn, your life is not behind schedule. You are not too late. You are exactly on time with what your soul agreed to. But now, a new contract is forming. A shift in the spirit world. Your guides are gathering. Your ancestors are leaning in. Because the old contracts, they're fulfilled. You've learned the hard way. You've carried the heavy loads. You've kept your integrity in a world that often rewards deception. And now you get to write a new contract. One that doesn't begin with suffering, but with sovereignty. One that doesn't ask, what must I endure? But rather, what am I ready to receive? But make no mistake, this shift isn't automatic. It requires awareness. You must consciously choose to release the outdated agreements. The ones that said you had to earn love through self-denial. The ones that said success comes through suffering. The ones that said peace is only for the retired. Capricorn, you are rewriting your destiny. Not by force, but by frequency. And the universe is listening. Life Lesson, Part 8. Capricorn, the moment you remember that you are not here to prove yourself, but to become yourself, your spiritual contracts begin to change. What was once required suffering becomes sacred receiving. Part 9. From Survival to Sovereignty. Capricorn, you've survived more than most people know. You've walked through storms without an umbrella. You've sat in rooms filled with noise, feeling invisible. You've shown up for people who disappeared when it was your turn to fall. And yet, here you are. Not broken, but forged. That survival, it shaped you. It taught you how to be resourceful, how to lead without applause, how to carry the weight of worlds without ever dropping your own. But now, it's time to stop surviving. Because survival is not your destiny. It was the preparation, the training ground, the crucible in which your strength, your truth, and your wisdom were born. But you were never meant to live there forever. Capricorn, the next phase of your life is not about endurance. It's about sovereignty. That means no longer reacting, but choosing. No longer sacrificing, but honoring. No longer waiting for permission, but claiming your place in the world. Sovereignty is not about power over others. It's about power over your own story. It's when you walk away from spaces that diminish you. When you say no, not out of fear, but out of clarity. When you stop trying to fit into systems that were never built to hold your light. And yes, this shift will cost you. It will cost you relationships built on you playing small. It will cost you jobs that reward your exhaustion, but not your truth. It will cost you old identities, ones that made you feel needed, but never whole. But what you gain? Peace, alignment, freedom, and a kind of inner authority that cannot be shaken. Capricorn, you didn't come here to blend in. You came here to build something new. And that can only happen when you stop living as a survivor and rise as a sovereign. This is the moment. When you stop asking, how do I fix this? And start asking, what do I want to create now that I'm free? The old version of you would have hesitated, would have asked for signs, approval, guarantees. But that version, she's gone. He's resting. They did their job. You're free now. Not to prove, not to explain, but to choose. Life Lesson, Part 9. Capricorn, survival gave you strength. But sovereignty gives you life. You are not here to adapt endlessly to what breaks you. You are here to build what sets you free. And the blueprint has always been inside you. Conclusion, the final question that will set you free. Capricorn, if you've made it this far, you already know the truth. You've outgrown the life you were surviving in. You've outgrown the identity built on proving your worth. You've outgrown the fear that told you to settle, to stay small, to stay safe. And now, there's only one question left. A question most people never dare to ask. A question that, if answered honestly, will change the course of your life forever. Are you willing to let go of the version of you that no longer matches who you truly are? Not the version that people applaud. Not the version that others depend on. But the version you created to cope. To be accepted. To be needed. Because that version, Capricorn, is tired. And somewhere deep inside, you are too. You've done enough. You've proven enough. You've carried enough. Now the universe is whispering. Let it fall. So you can finally rise. This is your funeral, not of death, but of identity. This is your sacred union, not just with another, but with your truth. This is your financial shift, not as a reward, but as a reflection of the freedom you now claim. You don't need another sign. You are the sign. You are the shift. You are the storm and the calm that follows. So say it out loud, for the universe to hear. I release what no longer fits. I receive what I am truly aligned with. I return to myself. Because Capricorn, this isn't the end. It's the beginning. And I promise you, one day soon, when you're standing in the center of a life that reflects your truth, you'll look back on this very moment and say, that was it. That was the turning point. That's when I chose me. And when that day comes, you won't need anyone to tell you what you're worth. You'll feel it in your bones. You'll see it in your bank account. You'll know it by the peace in your heart. You're not here to be half seen, half loved, or half alive. You're here to live fully, lead boldly, and love without apology. And now, it's your time. Final life lesson. Capricorn, transformation doesn't ask for perfection. It only asks for permission. The moment you say yes to your soul, the rest of your life begins. Call to action. If something in this message stirred your soul, if a part of you whispered yes, this is me, then don't stay silent. Comment below. I'm ready. I choose myself. I say yes to what's next. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Zodiac Secrets Revealed. Because this isn't just a video. It's a door. And the ones to come will help you walk all the way through. We're only just beginning, Capricorn. I'll see you in the next message. Until then, live as if everything you dream of is already on its way. Because if you can feel it, it's already begun.